Hello and welcome back to my FPL channel. I'm FPL Dean and today you're here for a combination of a bunch of different stuff. So I'm going to be covering differentials for anyone that is on wildcard, that's anyone that's looking to try and change their draft because everyone's draft is literally the same. I've got your differentials covered today in this video. I've also got my game week 31 full notes from all the 9 games we've seen so far. And unfortunately I'm on a tiny red arrow at the moment, but that is because I still have Cole Palmer left to play. If Cole Palmer gets a goal, I'm definitely going to finish the week inside the top 1,000. If he gets 3 points for a clean sheet, then I'm probably going to be almost identical to the rank I started the week at on wildcard. So again, I've got that covered as well. I've also got assistant managers for anyone that's playing assistant manager this week. I'm going to be looking at that as well in this, as well as the fixture difficulty rating and my bench boost triple captain strategy. It is going to be a mammoth episode, so hang around for all of it. I've hopefully got it all covered, and without further ado, let's jump straight into it. So the current notes for game week 31, as things stand, prior to obviously Chelsea playing Tottenham, and I am hoping, as you can see there, 1,068, slightly low. I'm hoping for a Cole Palmer big return, get me inside the top 900, that'd be nice. I was there briefly on Wednesday night. Alas, the Crystal Palace boys, and that's where we've got to start. They had the ultimate come down here, and they were just disappointing. Frankly, they didn't show up to this game. And Mateta lasted 59 minutes, didn't even get 2 points, which was highly disappointing. I just think that this is one of the result of they beat Fulham. They're through to the FA Cup semi-final. They're still riding that high. And I think we just put this down as an aberration and just disappointing. It's just disappointing, really, to be honest with you. And that's all it comes down to. I think Palace assets are still amazing. They've still got 5 fixtures in the next 3 game weeks. So there's no reason to panic. No reason not to buy them if you're on wildcard in game week 31. And maybe they just play better against better teams. And Southampton definitely got one up in here. On that note, Juric was the only assistant manager with table bonus that got anything from any of their games outside of the goals that they scored. So that's unbelievable. Newcastle obviously struggled to beat Brentford, but they did beat them. So Juric actually got, I think it was 9 points in the end. So that's not bad. Could have been worse. Could have been better. But again, yeah, it was a hard week for the table bonus managers. There were 7 of them, and so far, 5 of them have failed. Postecoglou's still got to go against Chelsea, so I don't know how that's going to go either. The Brentford boys stack up, even against the better teams. Look, honestly, the fact that Wissa and Mbeumo, they always combine for goals. It's amazing how often you see one of them assist and the other one score. Honestly, this shouldn't have been a goal. Nick Pope, I don't know what he's doing, just came out and just clattered into Wissa. Made no sense what he was doing. He should have just stayed where he was. And I don't even know if Newcastle would have conceded if it wasn't for the fact that Pope literally gave him a freebie. Liverpool looked nervy, and Salah again continued to disappoint. Like, he hasn't looked himself over the Champions League, over the Carabao Cup, and then back on this game as well. I think captaincy from here on in definitely needs some proper consideration. I did consider captaining Marmoush, and that turned out to be the correct play. But, yeah, Salah really was quite disappointing in this game. I don't even really recall him really getting a half-decent chance, to be honest with you. Aston Villa continued to impress. They go to Brighton, they beat them 3-0. But will they be distracted by the Champions League? That starts, obviously, next week. So maybe game week 31, they'll be fine. But then the Champions League's there. But you also don't know if Emery's going to rotate. Rashford looks amazing. Asensio looks amazing. Asensio can't get a start in the Premier League, but he still continues to deliver points. He's got stupid XG. It's unbelievable. And if I knew with more certainty, I'd 100% be recommending him. But they do feature a lot in today's video. So I just want to put that out there. Chip strategy is now where you can make your points. I think that's what it comes down to. Everyone's draft looks exactly the same. I looked at everyone that wildcarded, and like the only real difference is that I've got Palmer, Saka, and Salah, plus Mateta, Isaac, and Marmoush. Lots of other people can't actually afford that. So 1 player differential, wow, whoop-de-doo. It's very hard. I think the ranks are very cemented at the moment. Unless people start making alterations, trying to move, etc., the wildcard template draft has just become there's so many players that everyone just has. So maybe this is a very important video for anyone that is building their wildcard for 31, because maybe you don't want to have exactly the same draft so you can actually move up. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. And lastly, monitor injuries and fitness updates prior to the deadline. Isaac apparently went off feeling a bit of a groin. So did Trippier. Gabriel obviously went off of a hamstring. Keep your eyes to the ground. Timber also went off. He does feature in this video as well. But look, there's lots of things to cover, and you just got to make sure you're across it. There's another deadline on Saturday. You've got to be across it. You've got to be across the press conferences on Friday. That's the best thing I can say about that. So, the fixture difficulty rating for game week 31 through to 37. Now, I've left 38 off because I don't want to talk about that, because that's my free hit strategy at the end, and I'll do that probably starting from next game week onwards when I'm on holiday in Austria. But this week, I would disregard Bournemouth. I actually think that West Ham are a very good shout to beat Bournemouth. Bournemouth look like they're in a bit of a pickle at the moment, so I wouldn't be targeting them anymore. Even though their fixtures don't look that bad on paper, they just look like they're in a bit of a hole. Liverpool are a team to target. Obviously, Fulham away this week is not overly flash, but the next couple after that are unbelievably good fixtures. Spurs, if you really wanted to take a punt, but I'm not recommending any of their assets. I actually thought about putting Solanke in this video, and then I remembered how bad he was the last time I recommended him, and I've thought better of it. Arsenal, again, they've got a few injuries, but Saka's back. He definitely needs to be talked about. Not in this video, but he's definitely a great buy. Newcastle assets, again, they are in the middle of a really good fixture run here. They have really good fixtures through to pretty much game week 35, which is probably when you want to try and sell them. Man City, again, Pep Roulette. I will say, unlucky Phil Foden owners, the card knew what it was talking about when it landed on Cole Palmer instead of Phil Foden. Phil Foden didn't even bother to show up to the Leicester game. That probably does mean he'll start against Manchester United, so I wouldn't panic if I owned him. But again, Pep Roulette is just a thing. I think Marmoush will be fine. I think Guardiola will be fine. Anyone outside of that other than the goalkeeper. Even the goalkeeper's up for debate. Brighton, they have a nice little run of fixtures here, and they've obviously got the hardest one out of the way, I would argue, other than Newcastle, which comes in 35. Aston Villa, if it wasn't for the Champions League, I'd be jumping all over Aston Villa, but the Champions League is a thing, and I don't know how that's going to affect them. And Chelsea, they have a very nice run of 4 fixtures over the next 4 weeks, so they are also a team that you need to be targeting. So the assistant managers will table bonus for game week 31, and here they are, and this is the order I think they're in. So I've got Graham Potter number 1, even though they obviously lost 1-0 to Wolves away. I think West Ham are a lot better at home. They've already drawn with Arsenal, or they beat them, I can't remember which one. And Bournemouth look like they're a team a little bit in free fall at the moment, and I wouldn't be surprised if Graham Potter got a result here. So I've got him at number 1. Frank, unbelievably, after the results, doesn't matter what happens in the Chelsea-Tottenham game today, that will have table bonus that game. So Frank has an opportunity at home against Chelsea, so I've got him at number 2. David Moyes versus Arsenal. It is the last game that Arsenal's going to be travelling to Goodison Park. We've seen what other teams have done there this season and struggled against Everton. And Everton really gave it to Liverpool in the Merseyside derby. They were unlucky, I thought, to lose 1-0. I wouldn't be surprised if David Moyes continues his really good knack of getting results. And I wouldn't be surprised if they actually get some from the Arsenal game. So he comes at number 3. Silva versus Liverpool. I think Liverpool are very nervy, but I still think that Liverpool are probably the best team. And Fulham, I think, are still reeling a little bit from that FA Cup exit. So for me, I think potentially Silva is... I've got him at 4th. I've got him slap bang in the middle. Ruben Amorim comes in at number 5. I just can't see them beating Manchester City. Ruud van Nistelrooy, maybe he should actually be 7, but he's got Newcastle United, and Newcastle potentially could concede a goal here. I don't know. But he's coming in at number 6. I've really got no faith in Leicester. They just look bang average. They actually look like the worst team in the league at the moment, even though they're not. And Southampton, number 7. Now, they're versus Tottenham, and I want to see what version of Tottenham shows up against Chelsea, because if it's a bad version, I reckon Tottenham could be done by Southampton. I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest. But, yeah, I suppose that's something to keep an eye on. That's the 7 managers. Again, there's 7 games affected by table bonus this week. That's how I rate them this week, 1 to 7. So the differential notes, as I said before, almost everyone has played the second wild card in either game week 30 like I did, or you're playing it this week in game week 31. There's very few people saving it for game week 34 or 35. And the template draft is so bad because it's exactly the same. Everyone's got the same players. Everyone can afford them. If Haaland still existed, if he hadn't got injured, the game would be so much different, so much more exciting because not everyone would be going to the same team. Like people would either be on the Haaland train or they'd be on the non-Haaland train and teams would look a lot different. I was on the Haaland train before he got injured. Then he got injured. Now I'm stuck in what feels like the most templatey draft I've ever seen ever. But goalkeepers to consider are Sarr, Areola, Verbruggen, Pope, Becker. Now, Verbruggen's a really good shout if you're on bench boost 32 like I'm potentially going to do. Otherwise, Areola, if you're doing 33, is probably a better pick. Defenders, Luca Dean, Aït-Nouri, Timber, Burn, Wan-Bissaka, Konza, Trippier, Livramento, Lacroix, and Estupiñán. Again, Estupiñán is a really good differential, and he has the Leicester fixture in game week 32 when I'm bench boosting. So he is definitely an option that might come into my team for the injured Gabriel if he is not fit for the start of game week 32. In the midfield, it's Minte, Semenyo, Savinho, Matoma, Jacob Murphy, Gordon, Gibbs White, Jota. Jota's back on the scoring list and very low owned, might I add, and Liverpool have a nice little run. Alanga, Bowen, Eze, Ismail Assar, Marco Asensio, Souček, Rashford, and Damsgaard. I've taken Foden off because you can't be paying up 9.2 million as a differential to get benched against Leicester. That's not good enough. You're off the list. Forward line, it's Cunha, Evanlinson, Jorgen Strand-Larsen, Jackson, Gapco, and Raul. Now, you're probably wondering why I've got Cunha there. It's because Cunha's only banned for this week, and then he's back for game week 32, and he's a great option over a couple of the weeks coming up, and a very good differential that a lot of people aren't going to have. So, on to the goalkeepers this week, and 3 of the 4 are exactly the same as last week. The only one that's actually changed is Verbruggen in instead of Kepa. Bournemouth just look like they're in a bit of trouble, so he's got to be removed. Verbruggen obviously is only 3% owned, and I'm one of those 3% ownership, so I have to promote people that I'm actually buying and playing myself. Obviously, Crystal Palace away this week. You're probably not using him as your first goalkeeper. Well, I wouldn't be using him as my first goalkeeper anyway. I'd either have a Pope, I'd have a Raya like I've got in my team. But Leicester at home in 32 is the fixture that I'm keen about. And also, in game week 34, which you can't see on here, but if you go back to the FDR, he's got Everton at home as well in blank game week 34. And my plan is not to free hit in game week 34 because the last 4 weeks of the season, we don't know what's going to happen in terms of the fixtures. And I want to save my free hit for hopefully 38, but I also want to be able to attack post that. So it means I'm not going stupid on the doublers in 33. And I think that 33 is definitely being overrated in terms of how many people you should have on a double game week that week. Some of the fixtures are bang average for some of the teams that are on that double. So I'm not 100% certain you really want to put all your eggs in that 33 basket to then free hit in 34. That's just my personal opinion. Jose Sarr obviously kept a clean sheet, so that was really good against West Ham. Areola obviously didn't. Pope obviously gave away the penalty. Verbruggen conceded 3. So not the best and most inspiring confidence in the keepers, but they are differentials nonetheless. So, on to the game week 31 defender differentials. Now, Timber makes this list again, and he was the only one in Arsenal that returned. He got 7 points. He obviously got 1 bonus, and he got the clean sheet, and he got subbed off before they conceded, which is perfect. That's exactly what you want from a defender, right? Especially when the team concedes late on in the game. The only problem I've got with Timber here, and look, they're up to 0.76 expected goals per 90 when he's on the field, which is unbelievably good, might I add. Significantly better than anyone else on this list. And he's now up to 11 clean sheets for the season. Only costs 5.6, and he's the third cheapest way into that Arsenal defence that is a regular starter. And with all their injury issues and other stuff going on, I think Timber, as long as he's fit and available, he's definitely going to be starting. Now, Livramento I picked here instead of Burn. Livramento had a really good chance. His expected assists on the weekend were huge. I think it was 0.36 expected assists midweek, I meant. He still has no goals, still no assists of the season at 4.5. And Newcastle, surprisingly, only have 6 clean sheets for the season, which I thought was a little bit shocking when I did some research into it today. So I think you just want to play this fixture in the doubles. I wouldn't be surprised if Newcastle don't actually keep that many clean sheets. They've even shown against the likes of Southampton previously this year that they do concede stupid goals. So hopefully against Leicester they don't, and it is a shutout because obviously I've got Dan Burn in my team, but Livramento is also a really good shout. Luca Dean obviously comes in. His expected goal involvement per 90, 0.18 is elite in terms of defenders. He's now dropped to 4.5. He's only 6.3% owned. 5 assists for the season, 5 clean sheets. Again, Aston Villa don't generally keep clean sheets, but if you're targeting that double, and obviously in 33 32, they have Southampton, which is an amazing fixture as well. Potentially, if you want to bench boost them, 32 as well. It's either that or it's a Brighton player. So I put a Stupiang in here because a lot of people have forgotten about him, but he was elite and he's starting to look pretty good. 4.9 million, 1% owned, 0.12 expected goal involvement per 90, 1.48 expected clean sheet per 90. It's not ideal. 1 goal, 1 assist. He's got 2 clean sheets as well. He obviously has missed a lot of football of injuries, but if he's fit and available, I think Stupiang might actually be a pretty good shout. And he's going to be different. And if you're chasing rank and you're looking for differentials, you need to pick people that aren't getting picked by literally everyone else in the game. And maybe this is the leg that you get up. Look at the fixtures, target them, and buy players that have got that Leicester fixture and Southampton fixtures. So onto the midfielder differentials. And look, Anthony Elenga just has to keep being in here. He's unbelievable. How good is he? I'd called it. The card called it 2 weeks in a row that Anthony Elenga is just too good. He's legit too good. He was always going to score against Man United. Returned with a massive 10 points, I think, in the end it was. Might have even been 11. I kind of just didn't want to look because I was just scared about how much I was hurting my rank. But a 7.7% ownership now. He's still a very nice differential. He's up to 6 goals, 8 assists for the season. 5.4 million, he'll set you back now. So he's gone up a little bit in price. His XG is still the same, and he just runs. And he is an elite athlete. And I just love him. I think he's great. I think against Everton, Aston Villa and Tottenham, I wouldn't be surprised if he returns against all of them. So I just think he's really good. Then we come on to the Manchester City player in Savinho. Now, Savinho is not owned by 10% of the comp. I knew I'd forgotten to do something here. He's actually about 2.7 or 2.9% owned. So ignore that. That was because he replaced Jared Bowen in that slot. But that's not actually, everything else is correct. He's got 1 goal and 11 assists for the season. He obviously got 3 bonus points in the game against Leicester from the 1 assist. 6.2 million he'll cost you. 0.26 expected goals per 90. 0.32 expected assists per 90. The man doesn't score goals. That's the only criticism I've got of him. But for 11 assists, I don't think there's any other midfielder, other than potentially Salah or Palmer maybe, that have come anywhere near 11 assists this season. So he's elite. He's elite in that respect. And I think he's great. Great value. And it looks like every game he's fit and available for, he does generally tend to start. Pep seems to like starting him. Foden obviously got benched. Savinho obviously cost you 3 million less and a great option nonetheless. Marco Asensio, 2.6% ownership. Now, my only problem with him is he just doesn't seem to get starts in the Premier League. But if he starts getting starts in the Premier League, he got 12 points off the bench. He got 3 bonus points in this game. Got a goal, got an assist. He's now up to 3 goals, 1 assist since he arrived. 6.1 million, dirt cheap. I'd say he's a better asset than Rodgers. 0.7 expected goals per 90 is insane. 0.07 expected assists per 90, also half decent. Then there's Marcus Rashford, 5.5% owned. 6.6 million. He's got 2 goals in the FA Cup on the weekend. He's got a goal in the Premier League now as well. 0.18 expected goals per 90, 0.23 expected assists per 90, 5 goals, 4 assists. Again, a really good differential. Not many people are going to be willing to take the plunge, but if you're backing in Emery to start these players, they are going to be fantastic assets because they're low owned, and I think that they'll probably continue to return if they're starting in the league. So onto the forward differentials, and this is where it gets a little bit controversial. All right. I think that actually the best differential this week is probably to go for Nicholas Jackson. So I haven't seen the game yet, but I'm expecting him to start against Tottenham. And if he starts against Tottenham, I would have no hesitations in bringing Jackson straight back into the team. 6.2% ownership. He's got obviously Ipswich in 32, Brentford away, and then obviously he has that fixture in 34, which is amazing as well. So, look, there's lots to love here. Chelsea have that really good, nice little fixture in 34. So you've got to be across it. 0.56 expected goals per 90, 0.09 expected assists per 90, 9 goals, 6 assists. The dude does return points. He does return points. He does cost a fair bit of money though, 7.7 mil. Valentin, by the way, got another goal. Fantastic. So did Strand Larsen. Both of these budget options, 5.7 mil, Strand Larsen 5.3, they just continue to get the job done. Strand Larsen's up to 10 goals now for the season and 2 assists. Valentin's up to 7 goals and 4 assists. So they're both pretty much producing the same amount of attacking returns. Valenson's data is obviously significantly better, 0.47 expected goals per 90 and 0.08 assists, compared to Strand Larsen's 0.28 expected goals per 90 and 0.04 expected assists. But they're dirt cheap. And Wolves actually have a really nice fixture run for quite a few weeks post what you can see on the screen. Go back to the FDR. They have some really nice fixtures. And 34, I think they've got someone that's actually like I've said Southampton or Leicester. It's Leicester or something like that. They have an amazing fixture in 34. And like Cunha is definitely a significant option. And I put Cunha in here, and I actually think that he's the one I'd probably look to buy. If I was on wildcard this week, yes, you're missing out on the Ipswich away game, and I understand that potentially that is a problem for some people. But then you're getting Tottenham at home, who are going to be back off the back of playing in the Europa League. Then you're going to have Man United away, who are also going to be off the back of playing in the Europa League. I think that it's an excellent play. Like if there's a forward to jump on early, it would be Cunha. 0.29 expected goals per 90, 0.19 expected assists per 90. The talisman of Wolves. 13 goals and 4 assists he's got, and he's missed quite a few games now with either injury or suspension, and he's only going to cost you 6.8. I just think of all of them, he's just brilliant. And I think if you really want my real shout for a differential, if you're on wildcard this week, just buy Cunha. Like ignore Mateta or... Yeah, just ignore Mateta, really. I think you've definitely got to have Isaac. I think you've definitely got to have Marmouche. But I think you could potentially get away. Maybe we're reading too much into Crystal Palace as a whole. I'm not sure. But I'm starting to think maybe that game against Southampton has put some doubts in my mind. So, on to my updated chip strategies. So, I played the first wild card in game week 12. Second wild card I played in game week 30. And I played the AM chip in 24 to 26 for 56 points. So, strategy 1 or strategy 2 are very similar, except you play the free hit in 34. If you're loading up, so if you're on wildcard 31, and I'm arguing that lots of people that might be watching this might be on wildcard 31 or on wildcard 30, you either loaded up on assets, so you're free hitting in 34, or you did what I did and planned your draft so that way you can transfer out and not have to free hit 34. So you can then free hit in 38, or if there's some weird looking doubles or blanks later on in the season caused by the FA Cup again, then you'll be able to attack them with a free hit. Whereas other people won't have that option and they'll have to think on the fly within like a week or two, and it's going to be a lot more difficult for them. So for me, I think that makes a lot more sense. And obviously some forward planning about players potentially that could potentially double again post 34 is also quite helpful. So again, keep that in mind. Definitely something to do. But for me, I'm 100% on strategy 1 at the moment. So I'll be definitely wildcarding in 31. Well, no, sorry, 30. If you're wildcarding 31. I'm bench boosting in 32. My current team is set up to bench boost in 32. I'll then play the triple captain in either 33, 35 or 36. And I'll be playing the free hit in 38. Like that is the plan. That is the plan. The other plan is I could bench... I'm not going to bench boost in 33. I've looked at it. I even looked at bench boost 36 today. But my players just look better in 32 compared to 36. But they also have quite a nice lot of fixtures in 36, my team. I just prefer the ones that are in 32, potentially because of that double game week. So the other strategy is obviously you could bench boost 33. Again, you could triple captain in either then 32, 35 or 36. You could then free hit in 34. Like those are the two main differences: the free hit and the when you want to play your combination of the bench boost and triple captain. Now, if you have all your remaining chips still, you should definitely be pressing the wildcard button already and be on the moves for wildcard 31. You then should be playing the AM chip. The AM chip is the most powerful chip in the game. Forget bench boost. Bench boost, if you're lucky, gets you 15 to 20 points at a max. If you're stupidly lucky, it might get you 25 or so. Triple captain, ditto. Mo Salah, I think, is the highest one so far this season, and he got 26 points across the first week, or 28, one of the two, or 29. I can't remember. It was in that bracket. The assistant manager chip, if you play it, I got 56 points. So you want the double-double, and I think you want to chase the table bonus. I chased the table bonus across all 3 weeks when I played it, and I think that's definitely the play. So for me, I wouldn't even bother looking at number 2 option, but the number 2 option would be a wild card 30-31, triple captain 32, bench boost 33, free hit 34, AM manager 35 to 37 or 36 to 38. But again, I would definitely be recommending number 1. It makes so much more sense to me in my mind. So On to what my wildcard squad was on game week 30. So you can see there, that is now risen up to 107.1 million team value. Like, I dropped it down to 106.6. Obviously, I lost the value on Cole Palmer because he dropped, but I had him on wildcard. And obviously, Sucker is now already risen. Lots of players have already risen. The only things I would do, now, I've put together a wildcard draft based on the fact you're going to bench boost in 33 rather than bench boost in 32. So I'm all on board just so I could show you the comparison. So I'm bench boosting 32. Verbruggen obviously is in goal against Leicester. And then obviously I've got Milinkovic at home to Everton, which looks pretty good on paper. And then Crystal Palace play Man City, which I would argue is a better fixture in 32 than Newcastle, who go away to Aston Villa in 33, which is why I prefer the bench boost 32 compared to the bench boost 33. But bench boost 33, I would have Konza or like a Dean or something like that. And Martinez, actually, I could afford Dean with this. I just didn't put him in because I didn't think I could at the time. I could put Dean in there instead, or a Konza. Then Martinez in goal, because you'd be playing the Aston Villa fixture. Again, you could do that in 32, or you could do it in 33 because there'll be more doublers in the squad. It's entirely up to you. Essentially, you just want players that are going to do super well. And and bench boost is pure luck. Like, some of these chips, bench boost, triple captain, they can either suck or you can do really well. In fact, the assistant manager chip's exactly the same. You can play the assistant manager for 3 weeks on 3 different table bonus managers, think you're going to win, and it potentially might happen this time around, and none of them win. Like, it is humanly possible, so just keep that in mind. Again, I just think you want to be changing. So lots of people are saying you have to have 3 Newcastle, 3 Palace assets, especially Palace because they've got the double-double. But do you actually need them? I'm not sure you do. And if you're playing the assistant managership, you only need 2 Crystal Palace assets. And I would argue probably the 2 best ones to have are probably Sarr and Eze. Because I think Mateta just looks a bit weird with the mask. And I can't really see Crystal Palace keeping too many clean sheets between now and probably 34, 35. So 35 I meant, because obviously they're blanking in 34. So for me, that's just where I would go. And I just think it's really important, like working out the template draft, as you can see there, there's some players that just make it on each of them. So Isaac is 100% nailed. Marmoush, 100% nailed. Mateta is pretty much also 100% nailed. However, I think that you could definitely ditch Mateta for Acuna and play him from like next week onwards. You can even drop him for a Jackson if Jackson's fit and available. If you're on wildcard this week, you'll get the info whether Jackson starts, how he looks against Tottenham. If he looks good, he's definitely somewhere we could move to as well. In terms of the defence, you might not even just decide you only want 2 Arsenal players and just ditch De Gabriel and not even bother with Saliba. Maybe just go double Forest defence. That actually seems to be working better than double Arsenal defence, to be honest. And or maybe you just ditch Raya for sells and bank a bit of money. There are so many different combinations. I would argue that you probably just want to move away a little bit from this template draft. Maybe you want some Aston Villa assets there instead of like maybe the Newcastle ones. I'm not sure. That could be a really good shout as well. But it is entirely up to you. Obviously, Newcastle do have the amazing fixture of Leicester this weekend. So there is that to keep in mind. And Jacob Murphy obviously did get an assist as well. Started again. Looked pretty good, but Anthony Gordon could be back for the weekend, and maybe he's a point of difference as well that potentially could have on draft too. So that brings me to the end of my wildcard special. I've covered the assistant managers with table bonus. I've covered my game week 31 notes, learnt from what we've watched in the first 9 games this week. I've covered a wildcard squad. I've covered the differentials for each position this week. Let me know if there's anything I've missed. Tomorrow I'll be back with my team selection and a recap of the Tottenham/Chelsea game. And then obviously Saturday I'll be on the deadline stream. And then I'm flying straight after I've done the deadline stream to Munich to go to snow bombing in Austria next week. So if you are a snow bomber and you're going and you play FPL, please leave a comment on this video. I'll meet up with you. I'll get you on a live stream and we'll have some fun in the Austrian Alps. Before you go, if you've made it all the way through to the end, please smash a like on the video, share it with your mates, leave us a comment and subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. Thanks for watching. That's been the D Unit.